Okay, friends, welcome once again to Look and Live. You are now here with Pastor James Devalon, and we are going to continue our psychological sense journey, okay? And with Dr. Jennifer Schweitzer. We are in number 5. In order for you to enjoy this, you need to go and watch 1, 2, 3, and 4. A link is posted right here at the top of this video, and also at the end of the video I will give you a link to the entire series themselves where you can go and enjoy that. What we are doing here, friends, we are addressing some mental issues and also giving you tips and tools to overcome in certain areas of your life, especially dealing with the mind, and also to become the best person you possibly could be and to build stronger relationship with those around us. This is beautiful stuff. So we are on a journey, and I hope you're enjoying the content thus far. As you see on your channel here, like and subscribe to the page. Click the bell icon for more of my notification uploads. All right, friends, I hope you are ready, because I am ready. I'm ready to study. I'm ready to learn. I'm ready to grow. And I got my pen and paper. Let's do it. Number 5. And the one that is on the list today is avoidance. All right. Without further ado, let us now get into the heart of the message.
The next deadly psychological sin is avoidance. I run into a lot of avoidance in my practice. People that come to counseling and say, I just can't get myself to do the things that I know I should be doing. And they typically use this little one-liner, I'm just not motivated. And I point out to them that, yes, you are motivated. You're motivated to sit on the couch instead of get up and exercise. You're motivated to talk on the phone instead of clean that room that you know you need to clean. So you are motivated. All behavior, we say, is operative. You're either trying to avoid something or trying to obtain something. Now, the things we avoid are classic, pretty typically things like healthy eating, exercise, cleaning and organizing our lives, doing certain non-preferred tasks. And finally, and this is probably the highest on the list, people tend to avoid having difficult conversations. Having that difficult conversation with someone with whom you have a little bit of a conflict maybe that you need to iron out. People just really don't want to do that. They tend to catastrophize that conversation into something horrible, and then they avoid it. But the thing is that following through on those things, getting that exercise, making that healthy meal, cleaning that room, and having that conversation, these things pay huge dividends. You feel so good when you actually follow through on them. To how to get from point A to point B, that's the question.
Yeah.
The replacement behavior for avoidance is action. God has given us this amazing thing called a free will. Now, I realize that there are some behavioral scientists that deny that human beings possess a free will. They think we're just genetically programmed and biologically programmed or influenced by our environment, and we're just like little cells in a petri dish. We just respond to our environment in these predictable and precise ways. Yet we can see exceptions to what we call typical human behavior, and those exceptions to me indicate that we do have freedom. Now, using our free will can be a difficult thing, particularly in a condition that we call learned helplessness. There are certain people that have great difficulty being proactive in their lives and taking control, so to speak. Those people are often victims of trauma or victims of abuse. That trait is learned helplessness. It appears often in a condition called borderline personality disorder, where people seem to have little to no impulse control and will act out in very self-destructive ways. Borderline personality clients were thought untreatable until a woman named Marsha Linehan came upon the scene. Marsha Linehan developed a type of treatment called dialectical behavioral therapy, and essentially dialectical behavioral therapy is just training the will. She taught people how to go directly against their inclinations in an exercise called opposite action. If they feel like going into the kitchen and binging on sugar, she taught them to take a walk instead. If they felt like going to the shopping mall and running up their credit cards, she taught them to go to the soup kitchen and volunteer instead.
All right, I want to catch up on a few notes here concerning. Let's pick up from here.
Programmed or influenced by our environment, and we're just like little cells in a petri dish. We just respond to our environment in these predictable and precise ways. Yet we can see exceptions to what we call typical human behavior, and those exceptions, to me, indicate that we do have freedom. Now, using our free will can be a difficult thing, particularly in a condition that we call learned helplessness. There are certain people that have great difficulty being proactive in their lives and taking control, so to speak. Those people are often victims of trauma or victims of abuse. That trait is learned helplessness. It appears often in a condition called borderline personality disorder, where people seem to have little to no impulse control and will act out in very self-destructive ways. Borderline personality clients were thought untreatable until a woman named Marsha Linehan came upon the scene. Marsha Linehan developed a type of treatment called dialectical behavioral therapy, and essentially dialectical behavioral therapy is just training the will. She taught people how to go directly against their inclinations in an exercise called opposite action. If they feel like going into the kitchen and binging on sugar, she taught them to take a walk instead. If they felt like going to the shopping mall and running up their credit cards, she taught them to go to the soup kitchen and volunteer instead. Do the exact opposite of what you feel like doing.
Yeah.
And Marsha Linehan, through dialectical behavioral therapy, was able to make progress with borderline clients, progress that had not been made by any other clinician. I recommend lists. I love lists. Lists will help us to follow through on what we call non-preferred tasks, and they do it in a very interesting way. Every time you check an item off the list, you get a little dopamine boost in your brain. You accomplish something, it feels good. And when you complete an entire list, boy, that feels like, you know, something like, dare I say it, cocaine. But much better because it doesn't have the negative side effects. So I recommend lists because if you put your non-preferred tasks on that list, you'll get sort of a secondary benefit from checking that item off. It'll sort of trick your brain out of thinking you don't want to do it. Let me tell you about a woman named Edith Eger. Edith Eger lived through the Holocaust. She was a Jew, Nazi Germany. She watched her parents sent to the gas chamber. A German guard broke her back. She endured the death march in Europe, and she wasted away to 40 pounds. 40 pounds. She was put on a pile of bodies left for dead, and the war ended. An American soldier saw her hand move, pulled her out of the pile of bodies. The medics came, and her life was saved. Edith Eger went on to speak about her experience with the Holocaust. And what she emphasized was the fact that we have a choice. She remembered that her colleagues resorted to cannibalism. They would eat dead people to sustain their lives. She chose not to do that. She also remembers lying in the grass and thanking God that she still had a choice as to which blade of grass to eat. You know, our free will is like a present. We were so excited as little kids to see those presents under the tree. How strange would it have been if Christmas morning came and we didn't even open them? Our free will is like, for many of us, a present that we never open. I recommend that you start to learn how to act on what you know is right. And just do it. Just experiment with it. Just experiment on making a list and making yourself follow through, and you'll start to feel good about yourself. Open your presents.
Amen. Very nice. This was another good one for me. How about you? Did you learn something today? What did you learn? Comment below. What is something new that you're gonna do based on the information given? Avoidance, right? We're talking about avoidance. Is that we don't feel motivated to do the things that we don't want to do, but we are motivated to do the things that we want to do. You know, so I can totally the non-preferred task. I can totally agree with that. having those difficult conversations, accomplishing those tasks, cleaning the house, getting those homework done, you know, doing the things that should be done and we have neglected. I can say I'm guilty as charged. The opposite of that is what again? Action. I hope you're paying attention. Action. One of the ways that we're going to make changes is by exercising the free will. This is very important because we've learned helplessness and therefore we have to turn it around. There is something called borderline personality disorder. I guess this is where you get to a point where you just can't get anything done as you wish you could. It becomes literally a psychological, literally it's a disease. But Marshall Linehan created the dialectic behavior therapy. I hope I have it correct. Which is the opposite action, is learning to do the exact opposite. So these are the things that I've learned. There's many more things here, but I think one thing for certain as practice is let's make a to-do list and of the things that we don't like to do, but we know need to be done. So how about we start tonight? Make a to-do list, start this morning. Take a piece of paper, make a to-do list of the things that are to be done today that you think should be done, but you've neglected to do. Primarily put those on the top of the list and put the other things at the bottom. Maybe 10 different things today. Check them off and then go back and let's do that again. I'm ready to do it myself. So this was amazing. I hope you've learned something today. Let's stop avoiding. Let's find ways to apply what we know, what we are taught, what we are told. And also let's take action and exercise the free will. Open the gift of the free will. Put it to use. Even Jesus says, choose you this day whom you will serve. Joshua 24, about verse 15. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. So there is this will that God has given us, this free will, this freedom of choice. We must exercise it either to do right or to do wrong. But God is asking us to use our free will to build up instead of tearing down. So yeah, much more could be said. What is your thought? What say you? What's your perspective about this one? We have 2 more. So hang tight. It gets better. So we're not done until we are done. Okay, so we're going to get through this 7 days. And I'm hoping these are blessings to you. I'm hoping and praying that you are learning as well. Until next time, and as always, remember to look unto Jesus, to live by faith. Have a good one. Bye.